day 19, urban sketching every day. Today we're going to be heading out into Lisbon and exploring my neighborhood and sketching on day 19. Here's my neighborhood in Lisbon, of the neighborhood of Anjos, kind of Penha de França area. And what I do when I'm walking around looking for a scene to sketch is simply find the light. I'm just walking around to look for the light. So I call it follow the light. It's a very easy way to find your inspiration. And as you can see, we're just walking up and the light is incredible here. And see? So this is something I look for these dramatic shadows. And I could just really just set up here and sketch this window. That would be a really easy day. Okay, that was too easy. I'm gonna keep exploring around the neighborhood. You know, it's around 4:35. It's actually around 5. It's around 5:30, and that time is around the best time to go out for looking for a scene to sketch. It's where the shadows are a bit elongated, and where you could find a nice shaded spot to sketch in. So what this daily sketching has been teaching me, as already a full-time sketcher or whatever, it's something I've mastered over the last 10 years. Daily sketching is a different thing, like intentionally going out every single day to find a moment. And the daily activity, what it's been helping me do is choose different compositions, have more variety in the choices that I'm finding and what I'm looking for, because I notice that I often will try to find the most like complex scene, something super dramatic, intense, cool. But it's okay to also find like a simple vignette, like a doorway, a window with a nice shadow, and things like that too. So here's the view now, still walking around. I like the colors that are happening here, from like a darker, colder shadow blue to a lighter color here. That's something that I would be looking for. I like what's happening here with the light and shadow. Let's head over to this part of the neighborhood. Okay, this is starting to look pretty good. Right here. I like some contrasts that are happening. I like this dark tree into the light, and then this little section here, this little top portion vignette. So what I could work on for a sketch is something in this area here, from this tree, these two trees, and then that corner. So I was thinking we have something over here, like that area. We also have looking back this way. But I was just trying to say we could try to simplify in terms of what composition we're choosing. Okay, I finally decided on my spot, and I have just a simple, tote bag here, and a very simple stool, sketchbook, water, pens. Let's go ahead and set that up. Just have my roll of pens and brushes that I'll place right here on the ground. There we go. And just a water cup. Throw that right there. Let's see. My last sketch was here in Lisbon, day 18. And let's continue the next sketch right here. Simple setup. Nice. I've been liking having more white space on the page on this last series of sketches from Marseille. So I'm kind of continuing that vibe here. This is a really lovely setup. So I'll continue that right in this moment right there. Okay, let's begin. So as I said, I like the simple framing here. I'm gonna start off with the tree here on the left, very loose, kind of start the volume of that. All right, comes over. And then from that sets up my reference for everything. From here, I can go simply adding the angle of the building behind, the roof beyond, comes over, down, and then this is the money shot right here. Comes up from this moment, and I know from my reference, it's gonna come over, come up, and boom, we're rolling. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to my Pilot pen right here. And it's very bold, sort of quick line work here, and there's all these flies on me. Not a good place to sketch in the end. So just starting off with the branches, kind of giving me an area to work in, and then because this area is so dark, I don't really need to think about it as a color. I just think about this as the frame and the contrast, right? This is the Pilot pen, and it's actually shaved, custom shaved by a friend in Poland. It gives it a nice thickness to work with as well. So you can see that I was able to do the thinness of the branches and the thickness of these leaves. So without overthinking it too much, I was able to already set up the drawing's composition and the frame all just by these branches quickly. It kind of gives it like a Japanese calligraphy type of sketching style too, which gives it it's a nice touch. Oh my gosh, there is flies everywhere right now. I can't handle this. Guess I'm gonna have to stick with it. So I think this tree style changes here, so I can kind of switch my, my style of penmanship on the leaves. These are more circular. It's a nice frame. I can now continue over with the building in the background. I've switched over to a fountain pen that has a Fude Nib attachment, and this is a Esterbrook pen. It's a luxury style kind of writing pen, but I use it for sketching as well. It has a really nice flow to it. But because you can see, I'm like rotating my pen back and forth, is because I can go thicker line and then thinner line just by rotating the pen. Okay, you can see the sun is heading down. We got the sun that's just about to go below the building. So the lighting is going to change here in a minute. So let's get the last bit of line work reference to work with, and I'll show you how I would set that up here in a quick manner. I find the rhythms, I find what's happening here. I can find like what is consistent here is I see these details that line up with what's above it, right? And that just is true in all architecture. So you find these consistencies, and it helps you build a faster habit of muscle memory and sketching. So like, meaning like I don't have to look up as much, and just a faster flow. Okay, so it's good. So as long as I keep things consistent in the structure, then it's okay if, this window is higher than in reality, than what I see in reality. As long as the things, they kind of work proportionately to themselves. For example, I know that this window here is a lot taller, and I know that it starts in the middle of this element. So we then can build from there. I would say it would be good to add one more window here and just a part of a window there. Good. Let's switch back over here. I'm gonna add some yellow ochre to start. It would be better if I did like a raw sienna. My ink is not dry. Doing mixtures of a raw sienna, some of that scarlet, and that is going to mimic the light portion, right? So I see it really looks really quite red in that light, and everything will be in shade. Took it over here in the sun to try to get it to dry quicker. Okay, here's my little spot. Let's finish this now with the shadows on here. I'm leaning towards more of a blue cast shadow here. So I've added more cobalt into my shadow violet. We want those shadows to blend into the cast shadow down here. So, I'm almost good with this as a finished sketch. That's really what a sketch is. It doesn't need to be so evolved. Sometimes it could just be like a moment, or not even like a full rendering. And I think this one does that pretty well. That was what we set out for. Let's just see if we could find those last shadows. This building is actually has a light turquoise look to it, so it gets more turquoise as it gets further away from the direct sunlight. And so I'll start here with that, But then as it gets closer to the edge here, I'll let that gradient into that golden light. So it has this kind of colder turquoise that I want to add on top. Really light, transparent of that. But here in the middle we have sort of the more of a rose colored. Here is the finished sketch. Quickly getting the last moments of golden light, and it kind of worked out successfully here. I like that I had the urgency of, you know, the racing the sunlight, and by being pretty minimal with some of these areas here, like this minimal approach to the frame, and even how the details, they recede with having less and less detail as it goes, with the shadow going over the the windows here. It kind of makes sense how that shadow would cover those detail moments. Now, there's something pretty beautiful about the simplicity of this drawing, and pretty happy with that. There's a Miradora right over there. So that's it for this session of sketching every day, day 19, and the first time taking you out with me, so candidly, sketching with me in Lisbon. If you've enjoyed this, if you've enjoyed sketching with me today, feel free to like and subscribe, because we're planning on doing this a lot more often and consistently. All right, see you on the next one.